going on today? That's the question. Seems like I'm wearing this shirt all the time. It's some weird thing I got from Old Navy. I don't know if they still do, but they used to have these shirts with weird non-branded logos that didn't make any sense. That kind of looked like other things, but anyways, it's a day of just kind of, I don't know, trying to be an adult and getting things done. I do, however, need to work on the website a little bit more today. Got it on this computer. I think the washing machine needs some help. What's going on in here? Oh, I think our... Okay, stop beeping! I think the jeans got a little bit unbalanced. Let's try that again. Alright, that thing was getting pretty violent. Anyways, in case you haven't heard, brokenwheelchairs.com, link down below for that. I'm still working on getting some of the programming and how-to guides transferred over from the old blog. And basically I'm going to use that to, I don't know, basically culminate a bunch of information together for service manuals and other things like that. And by the way, I've gotten a few comments from people thinking that, you know, they know who's been trying to sue me in the past and all that. I will say it's generally been private entities, not large manufacturers or companies. Well, there was one that made some threats, but they were, what's that analogy when you go after a mosquito with a rocket launcher? Anyways, I'm still waking up. It's right after the time change now. I'm gonna figure out what the heck's going on, and I think, yeah, I'll pick up the camera here in a little bit. I don't want to be too rambly, but we're gonna get some stuff done today. I don't know what, but something. All right, so I figured we'd do a quick rundown of the website here. It's brokenwheelchairs.com. This is the basic site we've got set up here. I wanted to keep it super simple for now. I haven't gone back through and optimized it for mobile yet. It should work on most mobile devices in theory, but the menu on this main page here may not be quite formatted correctly. But what we've got up here on the top right, we've got a little menu that goes to all the different sections, and that's basically mirrored down here with this little accordion style menu thing. Now, I'm kind of trying to rush through this because the computer I'm using right now has developed some sort of problem with the logic board or motherboard in it, and it keeps randomly turning off. So let's see if we can get through this before it crashes on me. So the plan right now is to go ahead and get all the information moved over here, and then I'll go back through and format things, because there's going to be a lot more information here than there was on the blog site previously, which I think it was Arnet OEM Blogspot, or I forget how the web address was formatted. None of this is linked to Google SEO yet, so it's not going to show up in search engines or anything. I'm going to try and get it mostly complete before I do that. But most of the recent videos going back about a month or so have the link to this website. Anyways, so from shop class, I think it was episode 3, we've got all of the controller photos here. So you can go through and say you want to look at your Quantum 1466 120 amp controller. You can go through there and take a look at the photos. This is just kind of a, I don't know, not really necessary, but if you want to take a look and see what's going on inside these things, all of this is set up here. And they're set up, I believe, with a light box. Yeah, so you can pull up each photo and then scroll through it and, you know, get high resolution images. I'm still amazed with this stupid iPhone 12, how good the cameras are on it. Okay, so there's that. Let's go back to the main menu. I think this button works. Okay. And then we've got service manuals and documentation here. This is what I was talking about. It's all publicly available information. As long as I don't put anything in here without that basically isn't available on the open internet, or I don't have actual permission to use, we should be fine. I think I said that wrong, but anyways. So we've got a bunch of the Permobil info in here right now. These are all service manuals for various chairs. And depending on your browser, I was going to try and embed a PDF viewer and all this stuff, but I figured I would let anyone who's viewing this site manage that on their end. Like if we go into, let's see, something weird, like the K300 here. If your browser's set up to read PDFs, it'll just pop right into that. And it does it with a new tab. Actually, I think Let me expand this a little bit. Yeah, there we go. You can see at the top there, it pops up in a new tab. That way you don't lose your spot on the site. And you can just easily go back to this tab and take a look at other ones. Then we've got some other stuff here. I'm putting disclaimers on a lot of this stuff because going into ICS onboard configuration and all that, you can screw up your chair pretty quickly if you're not careful. But at the same time, I also wanted to, like, the ICS onboard configuration and the setup guide, I honestly would not recommend going through these documents, but I want them all to be out there just in case people do actually need them and, you know, are comfortable with screwing around some of this stuff. But same thing there. We've got all the service manuals, and I separated some of it off into the non-branded RNet. This is for things that are also on Permobil, but are part of other chairs, like, say, Sunrise Medical or Amy Systems, things like that, that may not directly be Permobil branded or have their firmware on it. So we've got the big daddy here, RNet Technical Manual version 6. This is like 100 some odd pages, 168 pages of all of the stuff. This is a slightly older version, but the main software and control and functions and everything are the same. Oh, actually, I just realized that one did not pop into a new tab. I need to fix that link. Then we've got the input-output module here. This goes through these modules and has a bunch of schematics and shows you how to connect things and different drive functions and all that. And then, let's see. Oh, this one here was interesting. I didn't realize that just using the mono jack on the chair, using a resistor divider bridge, you can control, see, 8 times 2, basically 16 different axes with a single button. Or with an array of buttons, sorry, with a single port. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting article there for building your own custom switches and controls. That's actually potentially going to come in handy when we start playing around with controlling an RC car with the joystick on your chair. And then a quick little guide here for onboard programming and how to enter that. It shows using the dongle, and then also, I believe it shows the key code sequences for doing that. If you have a newer joystick with a power toggle, instead of pushing the power button, you just hold the toggle. I think there might be a newer version of that one. I'll have to update it. But again, I'm trying to get everything on the site, and then I'll go back through and work on updating everything and all that. Now, the how-to programming guides. This is what's taking the most amount of time. Oh, also, just so you know, up here on the very top corner, it shows the date that the site was last updated. Usually when I'm updating the site, it'll be 4, 5, 6 times a day. But if you come up here and you can see that that date hasn't changed, and you're waiting for some information, it probably hasn't been updated. But what I did, if you go into programming guides here, down at the bottom, we've got a link here. So you can go to the old blog and check out the articles there. There's a few things that haven't been transferred over yet. Make sure you hit more posts at the bottom. There's a bunch more stuff in here. I think Permobil guides are the only ones in here. I've got these 3 right now. These are the most common. That shows you how to gain OEM access. And by the way, there's people that run certain message boards that have told me it's illegal for me to have this guide. It is not in the United States. It might be in other countries. But I can assure you everything here is done legally and has been reviewed by, well, I've got more than one lawyer helping me on this. But this software here is publicly available to download. Same with this. This Sunrise OEM software is the UK version, but in the US, you're fine to download it. I don't know about over there. I think the legal issues might potentially be with passing out the software, but we have this freedom of information and right to repair thing here in the States, so feel free to use this site. You're not going to get in trouble for doing any of this stuff. Now, I know chair funding and stuff is different in other places, like you may not actually own your chair, so you'll want to check on that and make sure before you go in and start making changes and stuff. But, disclaimer, this is all 100% legal for anyone anywhere in the world to use. As far as making changes to your chair, again, you're going to have to check on your own. But in the United States, you can do anything on this site that you want. Obviously, you want to be careful because it is possible to screw up your chair in a way that it's not going to drive if you're just clicking around and doing things randomly. But again, I've gone through and I've added, you know, a bunch of warnings and things like that. It gets kind of monotonous writing and saying all this stuff over and over again, but it is important. So we've got a few guides there. We show how to enable cruise control. I click on that. There we go. And I got screenshots. So you notice the text formatting and stuff is kind of all over the place. Again, I'm going through and just getting everything in here. Then I'll go back through and actually change text sizing and formatting on all this stuff. I kind of explained this ICS light wiring. This is not actually a schematic. If we're looking here, you can see that it looks like all of these pins are connected together. All these colored lines are just labels to illustrate which pins do what. And I think, let's see here. Yeah, the colored lines drawn across the pin headers are just for showing the location, not a traditional schematic. Do not connect all the pins together. Anyways, so that's where we're at with the website right now. I think later today, I'm going to go through and add a few more of the guides over from the blog. Like we've got stealth mode, and what else do we have? I think there's the old style lighting schematic, get cruise control. Oh, I still need to write the article for Invacare and the Mark 6 electronics. And then also I've got everything for Quantum that covers all of QLogic 1 and all of QLogic 2. I'm sad tuba sounds. I forgot I put that in there. So I'm going to be getting that stuff transferred over. I'm running that stuff through the team of loopy lawyers at the moment because the way I got that information, well, I'll just say there's going to be a slight delay on that one while I get it cleared. I didn't do anything illegal. We'll just leave it there. I have a lot of friends and I have a lot of access, and I want to make sure that when people say, here's the stuff you can use, that they're not just using their information or their position to hand me info that isn't technically supposed to be public. So, Invacare stuff, I'm working on getting a bunch of things there. We're 100% cleared legally to do everything with Invacare. I'm still collecting those guides and going through them. But for now, Permobil and RNet are kind of the main things we've got going. And yeah, I think that's where we're at. So, super simple website. I'm building it all myself manually because the old host I was using, they were set up for web stores. And speaking of which, I guess I'll officially mention it now. The Totally Normal web store has not been officially launched, but it is sitting here idle waiting for me to add stuff to it. And my plan is to start off with a few simple things. Screen protectors. These prices are just placeholders. Screen protectors for your screens. We're going to get all the different sizes for different joysticks. The green light filters or the shades, so you're not being blinded to death by those stupid bright green lights in the dark rooms. Or when you're in a dark room, you won't be blinded by the green lights that Permobil chairs have. And then also, I'm going to source some good 5 amp wheelchair chargers and also some 5 amp ones and just sort of some generic tires as well. Because I get a lot of people asking me, hey, where do I get a good charger? Where do I get good tires? And I'll find them for sale. And then what happens is a month or two later, someone else will ask, or even the next week, I go back to that same site and they don't exist anymore. So I'm personally going to buy a bunch of these, keep them here in the garage in stock, and then I'll be able to ship them out. I don't know what the pricing is going to be yet. I'm working on trying to source them bulk so it doesn't cost me a bunch of money. I'll keep the price as low as I can, but I think we're looking, this is super preliminary, I don't know yet, but I think we're going to be in the $75 to $100 range maybe on some of these chargers. Again, I'm trying to do what I can with the price, but what I want to do is have a place where known good chargers can be purchased and they will reliably be there from month to month and year to year when you need to get them. So anyhow, that's the plan for now. Let's see. I think we've got a link back to, does this work? Have I changed it? Hey, it works. Okay, cool. So anyways, there you go. Let me zoom out. That's a quick, brief overview of the website. All this information that is, a lot of this stuff is available on the internet, but it seems like, I don't know if it's actively being scrubbed, but I wanted to have a place where everything will be here, and the site will be up, and you can come back to it and check on information when you need it. Because that's the problem right now, is it's constantly trying to search for stuff, and stuff moves around. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. So I'm paying a hefty amount of money, well, not hefty, but a decent amount of money monthly to keep this thing running. And that's the goal, is to make sure we know there's a spot where there's information. It's like one of those little boutique coffee booths where, you know, they got a little coffee trailer in the corner of a parking lot and they've got really good coffee, but they've got the weirdest hours, and they close on Tuesdays at like 2:30 in the afternoon, and they're only open like every other Monday, Wednesday, Friday, alternating to Tuesday, Thursday, and then sometimes on Sunday, sometimes on Saturday. So after a while, it's like, why would I go here? I don't even know if you guys are open. I want to get rid of all that. It's going to be here. And yeah. So thank you to the YouTube channel members and Patreons. I think I'm supposed to say patrons. I don't know, whatever. You guys are making a lot of this stuff possible, because we're getting into a zone here where I'm having to buy software. And thank you to the people that have donated to help me out with the web authoring software and some of the other stuff. We're really trying to get something going here to help everyone out. And, you know, I finally decided, I've been talking about this stuff for a long time, and I just need to do it. So that's what we're doing. We're in the process of getting it built, and you can come here and check things out. Oh, also, there's a contact form. Where's it at? Hang on here. Yes, right here. We've got submit, question, or feedback. This is just kind of a generic form that you can use. This thing uses the web server to send an email to a box that is marked specifically. So if anyone's trying to contact me, this is probably one of the better ways to do it. I mean, Twitter DMs are still preferable. The way Twitter is set up with their direct messaging, it's designed and it works really well when you're having hundreds of conversations with different people. But if you're not on Twitter, you can come to this website, punch in your information here, and this comes in a mailbox. It'll pop up in sort of a prioritized fashion, so that this will be differentiated from all the spam that I get from having a YouTube channel. There's so many robots and scammers and people wanting me to review products and all this stuff going on constantly. I'm going to update the video descriptions at some point, but this is going to be a great way to ask a question, or if you need some help, and it won't get buried nearly as easily as just sending an email would previously. So, and of course, we just got this little spam thing here. You just have to add 2+3 and type it there. But anyways, there we go. I just wanted to go over that real quick. You guys can see we are making progress. We're finally getting somewhere. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know what's going on next, but this computer hasn't crashed yet, so I'm going to click the stop button before this recording gets destroyed, and we'll move on to the rest of the video. Okay, I think now what we're going to do is play around with this Power Wheels car just a little bit. I got these caster wheels, and I'd mentioned before I was planning on slicing the front tires so they're a little bit lower profile. I'm going to test one here, like this, and then sinking the casters, hang on, I'm backlit, and then sinking the caster wheels down inside this thing. But what I want to check right now, I need to pull the batteries out of this thing anyways. So we're going to pull the batteries out, and then I'm going to flip this thing over on its side and see if we can't maybe just attach these to the bottom of the little car, and then keep these wheels, well, this is one of the back ones we're not using, so potentially modify the front wheels so they're a little bit lower. We're trying to accomplish a couple of things. One, make it steer, but two, I want to level this thing down. So if I can get those caster wheels mounted under here in a spot that's higher up, and then we can slice the bottom of these wheels, like so, the front end will tip down a lot more. The more I think about putting a caster wheel inside of here, the more it makes me realize that the steering and everything on it just going to wobble around and rattle. So I think we're going to try it this way. I'm going to get the batteries ripped out of here. I need to work on getting some straps for these batteries. I think instead of using plywood, I've just got some D-rings, and I'm going to bolt those through on the floor and just use like a ratchet strap to go around and hold them in place. That's going to save us a little bit of weight as well, because the more weight we have in here, the more amperage we're going to pull, and we're trying to keep that down as much as possible. So I'm going to play around with this a little bit, and then I'll be back and see what I've discovered. Instead of being methodical and measuring, I decided to just go ahead and use some Tech screws to bolt these casters to a frame bar that was already under here on both sides. As you can see, the front is lower than the back now, but I think it's a little bit too low to the ground, because our axle shaft sticking out here is, well, maybe an inch off the ground. There's a couple different things I could do here. There is some room up inside these fenders, so I could flip these brackets and tuck these wheels way up in here. But I think what I want to do is probably get a little piece of plywood and then attach that to the frame and then mount the caster wheel to that. Then we can look at tucking that wheel up in there, because it's a pretty good level right now, and we've got some pretty decent clearance behind these, well, from the rear motors here on the back. If you see here, we've got probably about 3.5 inches, yeah, maybe about 3.5 inches of clearance on those, which is great. But yeah, I think we're getting somewhere. I think that's the way I'm going to do this. We're just going to space those up and down as needed, and then I'll just cut the wheels and or tuck them up into the fenders, because I got to looking at this mechanism, and it's going to be really easy to take this apart, and I can just flip that bracket upside down, so our axle will be up here. And there's a ton of room here. The wheels don't need to spin or turn, so yeah. Again, it's just a random RC car toy, but I think this thing's going to look pretty sweet when we're done with it. And I may not even have to cut those. We'll see here. I'm going to play around a little bit more, and then I'll be back. By the way, this is how they're attached currently. I just ran some tech screws through this metal part. And essentially what I'm going to do is just put these in there. And yeah, I think we should be good. All right, we've removed the steering bar and the wheels, which, by the way, they have a sort of a quick connect thing that goes into these cutouts here. It wasn't quite as easy as I thought to get them reattached, so we're just kind of testing right now. This is a little bit ghetto fab, just to see if our height is going to work properly, and then we can figure out how to put the wheels back on. But what I did was I drilled some holes in these. I countersunk the holes with a bigger drill bit, and then our bolts are sticking through the back here. And they're just picking up some holes on this little frame right here. So I'm going to get this other wheel on here, set the thing back down flat, and see if that gets our height about what we want it to be. And then, yeah, we'll worry about that later. All right, let's see what this gets us. That actually is about right. It's a tiny bit higher in the front, but that's fine. Yeah, cool. Well, I think at this point, before we worry about the wheels, I'm going to try and find my D-rings. They're around here somewhere. We're going to through bolt those on the floor here and get some tie-down straps to get these batteries held in. And we don't have to worry about the plywood and all that. And yeah, sweet. Coming right along. All right, I'm going to use these things as tie-downs. I was realizing that the plastic floor is not very strong on this, so I'll show you here in a minute. But I went ahead and put them on the corner at an angle. And what I'm going to do is put these nylocks on here backwards so that we have a way to tie them down. Because if these are just going through the floor and there's just nuts on the bottom, they're going to kind of flop around, and I want to give them some good clamping load. These things come with these little bars that go on here. So the plan is to get those nylocks on here with some washers, push it through the floor, put this on, and then put the nuts on the top. And we're going to be pulling at an angle, so that should hold everything in place without ripping the floor. So I got the nylock in here upside down. And if you hold everything kind of straight, you can usually kind of get these things started to push past that nylon washer, and then the threads will engage, assuming you can hold everything. There we go. Then I've got the two holes I drilled here. The floor is not very strong, but this corner piece is a little bit stronger. And I figure if we pull out like this, that's going to give us a little bit more strength when it comes to tying down these batteries without just ripping a hole in the floor. It's got a couple washers. We're just going to stick those on basically like that. There you can see what that looks like. And then here on the bottom, we're just going to stick this plate on here. Two nuts that it came with. Let's see here, can I open this door? Ah, there we go. I can hold it. Man, these are really crummy U-bolts. Then we can get these tightened down a decent amount. There we go. And now I'm flexing on it, and it's not really moving that much. So you can see here we've got one battery tie down here, and another one over there. And yeah, I think that should get the job done. I love how the little door latches on this thing like actually work. Not very well, but they do. Now, I've had this jar of bungee cords that someone gave me a long time ago, and they've just been sitting on the shelf. Typically, my policy in life, just in general, is bungee cords don't hold anything. They might be good for holding down a tarp, but usually not even that. So, I tried one of those. Obviously, it didn't work. So we've got this orange ratchet strap in here right now. I've got a much shorter friction strap somewhere that I'm going to be putting in here at some point. I had to sort of loop this thing back over on itself because it was too long. But, as you can see for now, this thing's cranked down. Can't quite play a song on it. But it's attached on each side here. And, yeah, batteries are not going anywhere. So at this point, I'm going to rest for a few minutes. Then we can power this thing up and test our new caster wheels. I think we're on the right track here. Yeah. All right, everything's all wired up. Let's power it on here. Looks like we're connected. Let's see how we do. Oh, that's so much quieter. Oh yeah, that is great. By the way, there was a couple of people that commented with good suggestions. I did find out that the controller itself has an exponential mode on it, which is designed for larger, more powerful motors, and it reduces the sensitivity around the 0 point on the joystick. And I also changed the acceleration curves a little bit and the max throttle for turning and going forward and back. All that stuff can be adjusted right here on the joystick or on the remote. This thing also has like 10 different profiles you can set up on it. So I can tune specific things, like if I want to use this for other projects, or if I just want different modes on this thing, much like the profile button on your joystick. So, yeah, I think we're good. I'm going to run around the driveway a little bit, see how rattly we are. But I think we should be pretty good here. I think I'm going to have to take out some of the 2x4s and trim them a little bit to get the wheels back in there. But I think next, we're going to play around with those wheels and see if we can get them jammed in there and looking proper, as it were. Here you can see our caster wheels on the front. We've obviously got some Harbor Freight rattliness going on with those things, but I think they're going to work okay. Okay, so very, very clearly rattly. You can see the whole thing flopping around and bouncing and all kinds of stuff, which was to be expected. The driveway here is some pretty rough, like, asphalt chip seal or whatever. So, yeah, I think we're headed in the right direction. Those were fairly soft rubber caster wheels. I mean, there are probably better ones out there. But yeah, you can see there, if we go too much softer, these things are going to start getting chewed up pretty quick. And they actually already are, just a little bit. Yeah, it's a thing. And our batteries are staying put. See? They're right where we left them. Nice. As you can see, our pieces of 2x4 in here, I mean, while they do work, it's definitely not the most elegant solution in the world. I think for today, though, I'm going to call that good with this project. I'm going to play around with it a little bit more, and I'm probably going to fab up some actual brackets to put those caster wheels on. I think our ride height is about good. The front's a little higher. That's fine. I mainly wanted to keep those motors from dragging on the ground. So I think next up, we're going to deal with mounting those front wheels and then also stiffening up the frame on this thing. I'm going to play around with that a little bit, and then in a future video, I'll show you some progress on that. But yeah, there you go. A few random things for today. Talked about the website, playing with the Power Wheels car a little bit more, trying not to go insane as per usual. staying inside and doing nothing is apparently still a thing in this new year. But anyways, it's going to start raining. All right, well, I'm going to reel this stuff in and get the garage cleaned up. And yeah, we'll call that good. Thanks for watching.